Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to No More Heroes. So I played the game off screen and was able to finish the Don't Take Any Damage assassination quest. There's nothing really special I did, I just had to play it a couple more times and really focus on taking out the enemies one by one. We almost certainly will get more of those quests that I'll do on screen. And so then it said I had enough money to, at that point, actually pay and move the story along. Unfortunately, I paused the game at that point because I found a Lovikov ball. I didn't want to not show that, so I got distracted, and so now, despite my effort previously to try and keep the save file and the completion time somewhat accurate, that's been blown because I took a nap in between pausing. So we have a good extra 6-7 hours on the gameplay time, which is inherently, once again, highlights the problem with the idea of a pause menu not really pausing the time. And it's not even like the playtime continues counting in the menu, and then when you exit it out, it rolls it back to the time before you paused. It just keeps counting. And there's really just no excuse for that at all. There's not a single reason you would keep counting playtime. Yeah. Well, the good news is, after last episode, which went super long and was really grindy, we are going to just jump into the next fight. But it does kind of feel like we may very well end up grinding again in between every single fight for not a good reason. Like ideally the open world segment would be done at this point, and going forward you could always have enough money to buy in on the entry fee for the rest of the fights. There is also an imbalance here that feels fairly obvious, in that really shouldn't have been presented so many things you could have purchased at that time that it would have left you so close. Like, yes, ideally you would have wanted the player to do every side mission, side job, and assassination mission, and then random pop-up M mission on the map, which those random pop-up M missions on the map are still there, so seems like you could probably do them again, and maybe get some more money. Yes, ideally you would want every player to do that, but you wouldn't want to make them have to succeed on all of them.
Wait a sec. Why the hell are you telling me this over the phone?
Why? Because I cannot decide what to wear to the association's party tonight. Big shots from across the nation.
So yeah, you're getting a lot of side boob and underwear panty shots here.
Perfume on every square inch of my body.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. Your next opponent. Head for the school.
To the school? And then what?
Just go. You'll know what I'm talking about, I think.
What do you mean you think? You know, you really suck at your job.
Life is more important than some job. That is why I am busy shopping right now. You, on the other hand, are busy killing people, because that is all you ever do. What? Am I wrong?
Well, I guess not.
All right then.
So the relationship there has evolved very quickly from him being a just obsessive pervert around her, to be playing it cool around her and her teasing ways, I would say. Is there anything we really need to do in here? We should just save. Like, the save file is already messed up, and I'm definitely not going to go back and overwrite or try and play it a second time. So just an extra 6 hours added for no reason there. I did want to make a moment to say otaku fandom, certainly in Japan, is a little different than what an otaku fandom could have been, particularly back in the day in the West, because Japanese people would have had really small apartments, so they do get figurines like the ones in the background, but they tend not to have as many as you would think, and they trade them and sell them very often. There's entire stores in which you can sell figurines. They also have model kits that are more like the Gundam robots at the bottom right of the screen that you have to assemble, and they put those together. But they don't have walls and walls of figurines because they just don't have the space. Their obsession is actually, Japanese people, when they get obsessed with things, tend to come and go fairly quickly after a season. So that's why you see anime shows come out for a season and be really popular, or seem really popular, and maybe their last 2 or 3 seasons at most, and then the next big thing comes around. Very few things will stick around. You have things like One Piece and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They'll read manga, but often they won't keep the manga. If they kept every single manga book they had, they'd have bookcases and bookcases of it. Whereas back in my day, when I was obsessed with anime, I had a massive amount, and I still have, to the left of me, about 500 DVDs of anime, most of which I've watched on a bookshelf. Very nice. And in comparison, I would say I think I have about 6 figurines, which beats or matches what's on the shelf here. So the ownership aspect is a little bit different, I think, in the West. And I definitely wouldn't call myself an otaku anymore. I was at the time, but I don't really watch much anime. And certainly with Netflix these days, you don't need to watch it. When you look at the TV and his shelf there of VHS tapes, there's very little there. You can barely see the shelf in the mid left there. And if he's renting out tapes, that shows he's not really got the level of love that he would keep it. And he is still just like super varied. If anything, I would almost think of Travis Touchdown as living in this apartment because he just moved out of his parents' house, or he just broke up with a girlfriend, and he just like lost everything and is starting over at that point and living a different kind of life. But yeah, they call him an otaku here really just because I think Suda51 wanted to have the character be an otaku. Like, even his self-proclaimed moe obsession really is not getting expressed in any of this. you could totally have changed the way his apartment looked, and you wouldn't have really changed Travis Touchdown as a character much at all, because he seems to be very much like an anime protagonist who just wants to be the #1 assassin, and would have been better served and better written if there was some characterization in his apartments and in giving him a backstory, which I don't think they really even give him any kind of backstory at all. But yeah, like a more traditional way you would go about this is you would have had him say that the #1 assassin killed his father, killed his mother, and he's trying for revenge. Obviously the joke here, and all of this really is a joke, here we're seeing a little bit of graffiti, I think we should be seeing a lot more, is that Travis Touchdown is really just this disconnected loser that just wants to be an assassin just for no reason and happens to surprisingly be good at it. It's almost like the One Punch Man storyline where the main protagonist of One Punch Man has no idea what he wants to be, and so he becomes a hero and starts training and somehow magically trains to the point where he's super powerful and kills everything in one punch, and then becomes disillusioned by the fact that he's not getting any challenge against any sort of enemies because he is defeating everything in one punch. The character, having watched the One Punch Man anime, I feel like Saitama, that's his actual name, is better written and designed as a character that has some reason to be what he is first, while still also having some weird quirks. In One Punch Man, he's obsessed with, Saitama is obsessed with like couponing, and he plays video games and is mostly just a lazy layabout.
What's that in your hand? A toy?
So they tell you the name, they show you a silhouette of it, you're in a high school.
I'm gonna kill you.
It seems fairly obvious that well, yeah, it seems fairly obvious you're going to be fighting some Japanese like characters. These definitely feel like bad guys, gangsters. I missed somebody over there that was on the ground. There is something here certainly to be said around the fact that this has changed how you play now. I'm doing a lot more kicks and a lot more stuns towards making more of a more punches and stunning wrestling moves. Like, no longer is the X button just swinging the laser sword. I like the idea of the characters squatting down so you know they're not actually going to attack you, but obviously it's not going to work greatly.
Cranberry chocolate sundae.
It does seem like what has happened here. There's no way out of this, I think. You have to just kind of wait. Like, what has possibly happened here is I'm hitting X, which by default does seem to have a kick to it, at least maybe with this weapon, whereas before I was just hitting Y. Just got an achievement for getting that. This really would have been a good point for Travis Touchdown to say, "Oh man, high school. I swore I'd never go back to high school after I graduated, or after they kicked me out." Something to give a bit of dialogue. And you are just saying high school kids, so you do have a level of extra compromised morals in that Travis Touchdown seems to show no remorse whatsoever for attacking and killing kids, although in all fairness these characters do yell at you and attack you first. It is still very much just I guess that guy could have set you on fire. So they're introducing the idea of like elemental potential damage. Yeah, I guess more than anything, you really are encouraged to just hit the Y button, and that there is a severe imbalance, since this would have been a Wii game originally, and the Y button is, I guess, replacing the A button. Get some health hidden behind stairs, but you can't go upstairs. Also seems like that could have opened up. This isn't really a Japanese school. It doesn't look like a Japanese school by any means. These don't look like Japanese people. It definitely feels like Santa Destroy is this weird combination of a Mexico type New Mexico environment. And I guess I'm just looking for achievements potentially here. There aren't actually that many achievements in the game. There's only about 15 more, so I would suspect not very many of them have anything to do with doing a lot of random stuff. And I'm definitely acting very confidently that I'm not going to be set on fire, because you can only use those once. Yes, this definitely feels like a Western high school more than anything. You definitely run into a problem here, though, where this feels like this would have been a better experience in a New Game Plus scenario when things are all upgraded. when your weapons and strength is upgraded to the max, and that you could just run through this fairly quickly. But I don't know if there's any real benefit or reason why you would want to run through this whole thing a second time. It does seem like you would really just be wasting your time. This is another great example of where an abridged experience where you potentially start with a fully upgraded experience might be better, or if they had just allowed you to Alright. So A, B, X, Y not working. You're being electrified here. I have a hard time believing I was supposed to just run through all of this. But maybe you are. There we have your standard fallacy that you can turn off those that you can turn off the water suppression systems in any way. That's not how they work. There's just a piece of glass or wax that melts to open those fire suppression systems, and until you can turn the valve, the plumbing valve, to turn the water off, it will just constantly pour out water. There's no technology or electronics right behind it. Yes, you could put like a water flow pressure sensor on it, I suppose, and have doors locked, but that would not fly with any real fire code to have a shutter door close and lock people into a room that's potentially on fire, unless you're doing something that's like super military special. And this guy's alive, but I don't think I can hit him until he stands up. There are some fire suppression systems that will fill a room with argon gas and like server rooms, but I don't think they actually seal or lock the door too. A school definitely would not have storm shutter type doors that would close for, or should not have that for a fire. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some schools out there that do have systems exactly like that. This is one of those games that potentially in 2023 could have also been canceled for all that cancel culture stuff, in the fact that we have these dark Mexican looking enemies that we're fighting and killing, and Travis Touchdown is this very pale skinned, supposedly partially Mexican, but definitely feels like he wants to be Japanese character if he isn't Japanese.
Oh, just look at him.
Yeah. The Japanese people, it is really just a palette swap on these repetitive gangster type characters. And the Japanese have a unique experience with like Africans and dark-skinned people that is very different from United Statesians, Americans' relationship with dark-skinned people, or Europeans' relationships with dark-skinned people. That's not to say that there isn't a level of racism there. It is almost ironically an Orientalism, like a fascination with dark-skinned people because they don't see them, and a lot of like positive stereotypes, more than the negative stereotypes that you might see in other countries. So yeah, if you were dark-skinned and you went to Japan, you definitely would stand out and get a lot of stares, but I don't think it means as much as, or it means anything really negative. It's taking like 3 hits to kill all of those, even in that mode. Like in the United States, a African American might be stared at in a store because people are assuming they're shoplifting, whereas they may take that as the assumption in Japan, and honestly they may simply just being stared at because this is the first time a Japanese person has ever seen a dark-skinned person in their life, and their only opportunity potentially. So sometimes they take it to mean more than it really does. This is a nice shiny floor, to change the subject. And this is kind of a great example of how you don't always really need the fanciest technology as far as ray tracing. We have shadows and reflections before then. And
what you talking about?
This is very nice, and there was kind of nothing here to justify this. You kind of would have assumed there would have been more of a basketball gimmick that would have happened in the basketball gym.
Yes.
On the basketball court. But I don't know how you would have done that. Like,
yes.
I suppose what you probably would have done is you would have had, we can't go upstairs this time. You probably would have had basketball players dribbling and keeping the ball away from you, and then you would have to kill them all to get the ball.
Your next fight begins the moment you step into that room. Win, and you'll rise to ace in rank. Lose, and an even deeper circle of hell awaits. Wipe away your tears, hit the can, pick the totter of your teeth. When you're ready, step inside. I highly doubt you'll survive this fight, but hey, there's only one way to find out, right? Give it your best shot. I am 100% certain you're returning from this battle, Travis, in a body bag. But trust your force and head for the Garden of Madness.
Like, ideally, you would have had Travis automatically walk in that sequence, and then have him be capable of being broken out of an on-rails walking sequence.
Yes.
It wouldn't be too hard to say, if no buttons are being pressed, he would just start to slowly walk, and if buttons are being pressed, then you should move faster in that direction and then break out of that on-rails walk. and then after a few seconds, if buttons are not being pressed again, get back into the on-rails walking section. So we've been fighting excuse me. We've been fighting bandana wearing gangsters, which, yeah, in 2023, bandana wearing gangsters aren't really a concern or things that actually exist, except for in movies and TV in the school. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that Shinobi being a Japanese name and the silhouette looking like a Japanese ninja girl, it doesn't really make sense that that is the person we're about to fight. But it is fairly consistent throughout the entirety of the game, is that you have these minions that aren't quite visually connected to the actual assassin. I wonder if the idea is that the association hired the minions themselves, and they're not actually subordinates of the assassins, since the assassins do seem to be fairly lone wolves. Noticeably, though, you could have, instead of having like a lawn mowing minigame, you could have had a better integrated minigame where you had kind of a tower defense type experience, where you would hire minions, place them on a randomized map from a top-down perspective, and you would watch a rank 11 or lower assassin try to get through it, and the more lower assassins that you defeated with this tower defense type minion placement minigame, the more money you would get. And if the tower defense is not placed well and they get to you, then you would have to do one big fight, and after that one big fight, if you survive, that would be the end of the run. Of course, I could suggest all kinds of mini games, and if anything, the side game that's not worth playing, Travis Strikes Again, I believe is the name of it, kind of highlights where the desire to add more mini games to this game, to No More Heroes, is a mistake and just irritates the audience that really just wants to do the boss fights. This really should just be a boss rush game and nothing more than a boss rush game. Travis, now you're getting it back into the groove. Remember the 18th suplex of your master. The trust building exercise gone wrong. Captured. So we now have yet another professional wrestling move. There's only so many actions you can actually do, so it definitely seems like you're closer towards replacing one wrestling move with another than you are learning a large variety of wrestling moves. I don't know if the save files are super helpful to just have different text as to whether you're in the overworld or whether you're in a level. These transitions are wild and crazy.
A rankings fight?
Yeah, how about it?
All right. Will you give me a minute?
So she's in this circle group.
Wait for me in the hallway.
And she is dark-skinned, which is interesting. She definitely has this, like, shinobi feel to it. And she just killed all of the other students around her.
Mind if we do this somewhere else?
You're the boss.
And see what's funny in the
Stop
background
checking me
here.
out like that.
You see just kids
You
running
killed
around
them?
and playing.
Such a gentleman. Are you asking out of tactical curiosity? Or are you just fucking with me?
Bet they didn't offer much resistance.
You got a problem with that? You got no idea how hard it is to hide your true self around here.
Hey, I'm not accusing anybody.
It's kind of silly for her
You
to
gentlemen,
kill
I just
people
turned my
when she's
back,
got a
but
sword.
you didn't strike. You are fucking with me.
It's actually pretty hard to take cheap shots when your enemy is as bloodthirsty as yourself.
People like us think alike, don't we?
Shall we?
So you are shown a world outside of the assassins.
You will pay with your life. At last I have my chance. I will now avenge my father.
Something tells me you watch too many samurai movies, little girl.
So if this is Jennifer, that
What the hell was that?
if this is Jennifer, the girl of the previous character, she obviously would have had to have been an assassin before. And so we have more of an open world. Fairly obviously, though, you almost have to assume that this is a world where open carrying of swords and weapons makes some sense. She's got a lot of moves, and I should be like focusing and locking in on her. And she's jumping around quite a bit. Most of my hits are not making contact. Alright.
What? You can't kill a woman?
Sweet.
We're running around trying to find health.
Sonic sword.
I very possibly am gonna fail here. So you've got this, it is just like a open area. Her sonic sword attack is different than the way it was depicted. Your kicks, your punches, not really working here very well. Rather than guarding Shinobi's head-on attack, dodging to the side will make it easier to strike back. We get a little tutorial, helpful thing here. I suppose you could exit throughout the whole thing here, but there would be no reason to exit. It's not like exiting would let you then go improve your strength or your attack anymore after you've already done that. Now, if you didn't do any of that and just earned enough to immediately jump into the next fight and you were just trying to speedrun it, I guess exiting makes sense there. Does it really make that much of an interesting story that there's a connection potentially between this character and the previous assassin target? Slightly. I also wouldn't be surprised if this is not the daughter of the previous assassin person, but just the daughter of somebody else Travis assassinated, or the daughter of somebody who was assassinated with a laser sword, but not by Travis Touchdown, because obviously there is room for multiple. Obviously there's going to be at least one other person with a laser sword, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make a connection here where you are searching for the other guy with the laser sword. Let's go ahead and take a moment to refill our health and refill our battery, because there's no reason not to grab that.
Yes.
So it does seem like you just have to get kind of behind her or dodge attacks. All of a sudden this feels a lot easier. And I think I dodged that just in the right amount of time. But then she did a super attack and killed me again. And it's the same hint this time. The good news is I think you can just keep on doing this. They don't have a lot of taunts or anything like that. She might be throwing some shuriken at you, but it would be really hard to even see them if that is what she's doing. Yeah. A lot of this seems to really bend around just, can you get the hits? Can you dodge? It's more about dodging than it is about hitting. I probably should be getting more clashes and pressing the Y button. Like, because I'm just by default wanting to press the X button a lot more, and that's obviously just not working. Yeah. And I think this really just highlights how you may need to play the game on the easier difficulty.
What's that in your hand? A toy?
Yeah, I think you want to get in tightly. Yeah. If you're not pressing Y, then you aren't going to get the weapon splashes, and so it really is just like night and day difference if you're and she gets confused, but I don't see the button prompts to then do a wrestling move. I guess you just have to hit B when she gets confused, and you're no longer going to get the prompts. Right. That used up all of my battery. But you just don't really have time to run around and pick this stuff up in the middle of a fight. And see, I was at like max health there, and that nearly killed me. Yeah, the game really does not want to help you here. So, like 4 or 5 attempts on this. I mean, this is fine if this is all the game is. Like, if it is just, we're gonna give you really difficult boss fights. Yeah. It honestly feels like, depending on which one you're fighting, like there are just like completely different styles she engages with, and that creates a completely different experience. Clearly, there is a level here where you get a dodge, slow down, bullet time experience. And that is the thing you're looking for. And I am just particularly bad at these right stick spins. And I imagine these would just get easier. And obviously if you dodge too early, you can't do anything. You can't do anything with those attacks, or you can't get the bullet time if you dodge too fast. So the question here, I guess, would be, can we change the difficulty in any way whatsoever? Are the subtitles still on? Technically it says they are. Nope. Seems like you would have to start a whole new game, and I doubt very many people would do that. Oh, and there was like a whole high school map that probably would have been slightly helpful, but not really that helpful.
What's that in your hand? A toy?
Okay.
What? You can't.
Yep. A mod would be really appreciated to maybe make those those spins a little bit easier on the right stick, because clearly not the most amount of attention was put into porting the Wii version of this game to PC and consoles. So spinning the right stick is a very different experience compared to it's a very different experience compared to spinning a Wiimote, which is what that would have really just been, or pressing a single button. Like just having 4 potential button prompts instead of the 1 or 2 buttons that you could have had in a Wii version changes things a lot. Yeah, after the frustration of doing this multiple times, you can see why you would potentially maybe want to play this in a New Game Plus scenario. Just being stuck in this corner is going to be a problem. I need to try and bait her out of this corner, and I don't know if she's going to ever walk this direction.
What's that in your hand? A toy?
Yeah, she'll walk just a little bit if she can't do a sonic sword, but that's about it. Of course, knocking her right back into the corner isn't that helpful. But the pressure certainly is on once you get to this point. The lighting in this game is not great, and it definitely highlights the problem of lighting dark-skinned people in general, is that like it is much more difficult.
What? You can't kill a woman?
So attempt number 5. We know it is mostly a case of dodge first and win a lot more of those spins. And probably, I would say, if I'm hearing a clank, it probably would be a good time to switch between the Y button and the X button. I'm not 100% sure what she's yelling at you. It's probably insults. And you really just have to tap the B button when she has that spinny, dizzy head. And pretty much, if it's not happening fairly quickly, you are doomed to fail. Alright, we're almost out of health and almost out of battery, so now is a good time to refill. A lot of these clashes seem like they are random too. Seems like the game noticed that was the character was stuck in a corner and didn't like it, so it did a special move. Like, I'm really trying to dodge here. Yeah, you can't even, like, charge. So yeah, New Game Plus. Come on. We do have a charged attack. So. Maybe I could do a final charged attack on her if I can get her low enough. And just use the last bit of my energy.
What's that in your hand? A toy?
But you would have to get her down.
What? You can't kill a woman?
You definitely see how there's still just like a lack of experience that you would have otherwise in other game manufacturer, game developers. It is possible that Grasshopper Manufacturer has been a third on the list or second on the list third-party game developer for a few games, but I really do feel like there's just kind of a lack of experience. Obviously, they've made leaps and bounds progress compared to making Killer 7 or the almost like complete visual novel of the Silver Case before then, but yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like there's some of the basic elements as a concept are here, particularly compared to like a modern game where there would have been, hey, do you want to skip this attack, or do you want to give some more hints, or the game potentially just letting you win through any collection of tricks. Let's.
Bastard!
Alright. So my hope there is that would have done some extra damage. The problem here is it does just seem like you need to keep putting pressure on her, or she's gonna get off a super attack, and if she gets the super attacks off, then you're doomed. There we go. Finally, after 6 or 7 attempts. You chop off her arm.
What are you waiting for? Finish me!
Finish you?
Don't look at me like that! Don't!
I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. I never fought your father.
Liar! You killed him! Sliced him in two! You sick...
You don't even, like, really get a good picture.
Whoa. Calm down a little.
It almost looks like you're gonna
Jacobs was my
kiss
mentor.
her.
I'd never kill him.
Liar!
I watched Master Jacobs' teachings on video over and over till the fucking tape wore out. We've never met in person.
Kill me. I admit it. I lost. Just do it!
How about kill yourself after you kill me? Sounds like a bit straight out of a samurai movie, don't it?
Shut up and kill me already! You've already dishonored me enough.
Do it yourself.
Please.
I'll fight you anytime, anywhere. Until then, I'll be waiting.
Yeah, the camera here, interestingly, does not ogle on this character at all. And at no point does it really even scan up and down so that you can see her. They're not even really trying to make her be like an interesting, iconic character that you would have advertised on a lot of. Like, I didn't even really know she had like the lacy gloves and socks, or stockings, I guess is what they're called. I never really got to see her standing here. I don't think there's any like collectible models or 3D model viewer in the game to see her as a character. Travis, she implies that Travis is looking at her butt or just checking her out, but when she says that, she may very well mean that he's checking her out as a opponent, not as just a person who's luring on her. If Travis really is into Moe, there is a high chance he's not that into 3D, as they say, characters, 3D real people, versus anime 2D characters. So it's interesting. The camera itself maybe flashes a panty shot right as he's doing that wrestling move at the end, but it doesn't even really go very lurid in it. Whereas you compare that to something like Lollipop Chainsaw, you have a teenage girl on her 18th or 19th birthday, I believe is the story in Lollipop Chainsaw, and she is in a cheerleader outfit throughout the whole time, getting covered in blood and fighting zombies all over the place. And they definitely make her a character that is lured on, and the camera does pan over her and make her an object of desire. Whereas No More Heroes seems to be more interested in the association lady. That obviously was not a good experience as a fight. Just too difficult. And the story, I guess, is not that is Jennifer, so we may see a Jennifer later on, or we may not. The general idea here, and this is something that Killer 7 could have touched on but didn't, is that these assassins people are very broken people, not happy people, evil people, willing to kill at the drop of a hat without any morals. So you're getting a little bit of story as you go through this boss rush, but it is an incredibly slow boss rush. It took us 49 minutes to get through all of that. Looks like in total we're going to get 143,000 LBs, but I wouldn't be surprised if we need 250 to 300,000 LBs to enter the next fight. At 49 minutes, we still got rank C, so it seems like there is really only an A, B, and C rank. Maybe there's an S rank on top of that. But I would question whether I really would want to play the game in a New Game Plus mode just to get higher ranks. 54 enemies were killed, very few, compared to the 80 in the last one, and then the amount of damage taken is 213. I imagine that number is significantly higher if they were counting all the times they died, but I assume they aren't. Alright, so we have our maximum vitality increased, and there's the association lady. It is interesting that Travis seems to be single-minded on being the #1 assassin and single-minded on just the association lady as a love interest. If he were a true pervert, he would have definitely gone further in this direction. Guess we could punch her. No, Pin won't let us do that. So she could show up in a future game, I guess, and she may show up later in the story even, I don't remember.
Another victory, Travis. You are now ranked 8th.
They seem to have no problem with her not Keno.
Probably not. She's still young. But I still have to follow the association's rules of conduct.
Then let her live.
Are we suddenly in love, Travis?
Hell no.
Then why take the risk of her coming back for revenge? In this business, there's no such thing as mercy.
Kill when you can kill. That's bullshit. All I want to do is fight someone better than me. She'll grow up. Why not kill her when she's stronger? Yeah, then I'll kill her.
You are sick.
So are you.
It's funny, her bra outfit here seems to be just her standard uniform. So you do get a little bit of backstory here that he wants good opponents, not just a crazy bloodlust to kill other people. So what happens to Shinobi at this point? I don't know. I don't know if she gets knocked down to rank 9 or if she is eliminated from the ranking list completely or knocked all the way down to 11 or lower. It would have been cool if they had been able to randomly generate randomly generate some of the enemies and mix and match attack modes and have an infinite enemy mode where people just keep on attacking you and they're random 3D models with random attack video collections.
One of ours. It doesn't have a label on it, but it seems to be a recording of a guy humping a pillow. The video you should have returned was How to Please a Woman in Bed 101 Part 2. Please return it to us soon. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Touchdown. Your registration for the 8th UAA rank is now complete. In addition, we have faxed you some information about the rankings in case you continue your ascent. Please transfer the money into the designated account. Have a nice day.
Still weird you get this like accounting voice. The UAA, I guess, stands for United Assassin Association. We need 250,000. It's funny you sign a fax there, because I guess maybe you're faxing it back. After beating that character, the samurai high school girl, wouldn't it make a lot of sense to unlock at least one full set of clothes that were thematically in that same way? Something either samurai-ish or anime-esque. Right. The only thing I guess to really check here is to see if we got all the cards, and it looks like we did. It definitely would suck if you didn't get all the cards. I think at that point you probably would consider going back to a save point, previous save point, which definitely makes an argument that you should make multiple saves instead of just overwriting the exact same save spot. So there are 3 new things, and since we've only been going for about an hour and these episodes are particularly long anyways, let's check out what these new things are.
Travis, how's business?
You can't see any of the covers of these movies. They're very low resolution, just blurred out implications of covers that potentially would have been a little bit more interesting to me than t-shirts, but I could certainly see how even having a TV movie cover as a t-shirt makes more sense. By the way, the thing you wanted hasn't come in yet, so what it'll be today. So we have one video here called The Mask, the Panther, the Tiger's War. So this, I assume, would give you a wrestling move if it does anything. Maybe it gives you some backstory. We have money, certainly, to spend. So yeah, we'll buy that, but we'll have to go.
Now don't get yourself killed.
We'll have to go back to the hotel to see it. I kind of thought the Lovikov balls might be connected to the collecting of tapes, but obviously it isn't. So we still don't know why we're finding those or what those are for. The funniest thing here would be, not the toilet TV, if this is just a video that does nothing for you, and I just wasted the money, but it's a nicely animated, weird experience. But I wouldn't be surprised if this actually doesn't show you anything at all. Yep. We got a new wrestling move from that. I guess the question would be to ask, if we watch it a second time, what would it say? It probably isn't going to have as long a second move. Yeah, doesn't say anything. I can't help but just assume that the wrestling moves are increasingly powerful finisher moves that you absolutely do want. Right. The big question would come down to the hidden items in the city. We may not have any new hidden items or treasure caches in the city, and so you may be much more reliant on the submissions. That was a big fat guy, like a sumo guy or Hawaiian guy. Yeah, I could see myself being very much more reliant on finding the last few of these, since I don't think these reset, and doing a bunch of side missions too. Sorry, I have a cough, obviously. A little bit of cough. So one would hope that the side missions give us more gold. See, this one we'd already found. Because they're numbered, it does probably imply that you would easily be able to find an online resource that tells you which specific t-shirt, if you're missing t-shirt number 76, for instance. Right, there's something new here. So, for big amounts, we can power up our weapon, and we can reduce the amount of energy it uses, which this does kind of imply that you're going to stick with Tsubaki as a weapon longer than you probably might think. Now that she's spun around here, you can kind of see she has either armor on her legs and gloves, or maybe even robotic legs.
You otaku.
I do think some level of editing would have been appropriate for this game. Some of Suda51's ideas could have been left on the cutting room floor for a different game, and they definitely could have done better to have graded a few different games instead of having No More Heroes be the one main game of Suda51's career and Grasshopper Manufacturer that has been moderately successful enough to have 2 sequels. Maps like this where you have the radar create an odd situation where you're just going to have to drive in general directions, and you can't use the right stick to look around, so whichever direction your car is pointing is the direction your eyes are going to point. So undoubtedly there are items I've missed just driven by. Like there's a whole secret alleyway here. This could have been the bar you were drinking at the beginning of the game. So it feels very much like a Japanese street bar, tiny little bars, and yet you have what looks like a Russian guy drinking there. Look, man, this is no place for pussies like you. Go home to mommy. Leave me alone. I want to enjoy this moment. Now, if I had a ball, we may have something hiccup to talk about. Find 7 Levikov balls scattered across sand to destroy. So these are like Russian balls, dodgeballs of some sort. I don't know what they really are supposed to be. And bring them to this drunk. Hey, you've already got a ball, have you? Uh-huh, a ball. In return, let me teach you something. Select the technique you want. Okay, memory of 3 displays the position of enemies on the memory map. Let's see. Memory of a demon allows jump slashing to be performed with B and Y. Allows a dash to be performed by pressing the A button. Memory of woman extends dark side mode time limit. Increases the range of your grab. Earn bonuses based on your rank. Allows a jumping down attack to be performed. So let's do memory of tattoo first. May tickle just a smidge, hee hee. So we get beat up and that's how we learn the technique. Okay. So this is already mastered. I think a dash is probably a smart one. Of course, the problem with these jokes is that they really should only be played once. Otherwise, it's just gonna get repetitive. B and Y button at the same time. Let's go ahead and get displays positions of the enemies. Information is always valuable. We may very well be able to unlock all of these abilities. Okay. So we would need to find probably about 12 more Levikov balls to collect them all. And it seems to me like that is exactly what these orange things are. So either the orange dots are enemies, which wouldn't make a lot of sense, or the orange dots are Levikov balls. Having a few more options is nice, certainly. I mean, you can't argue with more options. But it does seem like every time we're going to get into the city, we're going to be given excuses as to why we should drive around the entire city the second time. And it would potentially make more sense to have waited. Like, waited until this point to get any of the hidden caches of money. But if you had waited to do that, then probably wouldn't have found them. You have a high chance that if there's a Levikov ball around, yep, there's also at least one of these around. And we'll just go on foot from this point because it's too difficult to wander around entire
Sweet.
areas. If we had a way in which we could jump fences in the overworld, that would be nice. Or if we could just laser beam slash the overworld fences, that would be even better. Interesting. Here we have an American flag, so that is an implication that Santa Destroyer is at least in the universe where the United States exists. Maybe it's not a part of the United States. I also get a kind of sound effect here. You could see potentially increasing your health and stamina just by taking a certain number of steps. That would make some sense also. Like, then you could directly connect the idea of wandering around being something that benefits the player, looking around this open world for what little there is actually to look at.
Sweet. What? Yes. Whoa. Sweet.
And all of these Levikov balls do seem to be close enough to each other that I'm able to see one on the radar as soon as I go to the other. I think we've been down this way. It still very much feels like there should just be random encounters with enemies, and that those random encounters would give you gold in the overworld instead of just kicking open dumpsters. Japan is actually kind of crazy in that it is extremely clean but has really no public dumpsters or trash bins, so it is pretty much expected that you're supposed to take old trash that you create from like a vending machine or anything like that and take it home and sort it and put it in your local refuse, which there's all kinds of rules and regulations that you have to learn around that. It's perhaps a indication of kind of the obsessive rule following habit of Japanese people.
Friends, but shit like this won't fly.
But maybe it is also an interesting system in that if you make something difficult for people, they'll learn it a little bit more difficult, versus if you make things too easy, they'll just assume, people will assume somebody else will take care of it. Japanese people in general are a little germophobic, so I'd assume their handling of trash and refuse is reflected in part around that too. I'm trying to play with the camera here. This is an area that's more windy, more walled off. Yeah, I highly suspect we'll get all the Levikov balls and all the techniques now, and we very possibly won't use many of the techniques that often. A jumping / attack definitely would have been helpful in the last fight, but it obviously is not an option until you're doing like a new game plus feature. They're really hitting it this one. And I don't really see the point of visually hiding the Levikov balls once, as soon as you can use them, you have the ability to detect them. Right, there's one far in the corner here. And then I think that's what I want to leave alone. It does look like there is one extra mission that you can do that's new, and then there will be a side job mission, obviously, and there will be assassination missions, all to just help you get that last few dollars you need. It definitely feels like each time we get put back in here, though, they're going to have to give us something bigger. Right. So Santa Destroyer is right on the Mexican border. We now know, and there is a Mexican border. We now know, with the Mexican flag. So Santa Destroy is in the United States. International Grasshopper and Water Commission. There's the Grasshopper manufacturer logo hidden in the game. So it is a Texas, New Mexico type.
Yes.
It's a Texas, New Mexico type city of some sort. Oh yeah, and since I do need to do my live streaming, I can't just end here, can I? Like, I'm gonna have to go back to the hotel, and if I'm gonna go back to the hotel, then we should just power through. And well, is there a way to fast travel to the hotel? No. Alright, well, it's not a big deal to just race to the hotel, save, and then we'll start in the upper part of the map and get all those Levikov balls, which we can see there's a lot of them. I see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, at least 15 in a rough count. So there obviously has to be at least one more final technique that you can unlock. Although, again, it's fairly obvious that if you had random encounters and then in the random encounters after a while you would just pick up items as random drops, like the Levikov balls. So you just had to wander around the world and fight random people to get the Levikov balls. That would play better into what this game actually is. Like, you do have these really long periods in which you stop button mashing. And yes, that's kind of nice, I guess, if you're trying to rest your fingers a little bit, which I can kind of appreciate, resting your fingers and not button mashing, but it also doesn't warm up your fingers in any way. It would be fairly difficult at this point to figure out which ones we're missing. Like, we go up to 99. If there really isn't a 100, this is interesting. These are labeled as Famitsu numbers 01, 02. Famitsu is a Japanese video game magazine. I wonder if this was a Famitsu tie-in. So, yeah. We have 99 to 90, then we're missing 88 and 89. Then we're missing 85. Then we're missing 74. Then we're missing everything between 67 and 70. So there's obviously just a whole section I haven't searched. We're missing 62. And then we're missing 60 and everything between 60 and 12, which makes me suspect that everything between 60 and 12 might be purchasable things that you would spend a bunch of money on. Seems like jeans, sunglasses, and belts are all purchasable items that you're probably better off not purchasing. As far as the drawer, there's nothing new here. It doesn't particularly highlight the extra upgrades that way.
There are no messages.
Going to the telephone doesn't do anything. I could definitely see a version of this game where the overworld works very much like this, where you would just go to the map and then select an area, and in selecting an area you would fast travel to that location. More and more of this is getting marked off on the map, but like the high school here, yeah, there's no new icon for that location, which, okay, you see that there's about 7 locations here and there's about 7 more fights, so a lot of them probably are going to take place in these locations, although some of these locations I don't actually think have fights at them, whereas some of these yeah, there's really nothing there to say. Yeah, we only have the mission summaries here. Man, I'm getting mush-mouthed. Need to wrap this up. You can that one new video, one new wrestling move. You can go to the fridge to refill your health. Obviously, the Travis touchdown does not eat very healthily, and we can play with the cat.
Meow.
Yep. Extra animation there for no reason. it is, suffice it to say that it is a little exhausting playing in these long amounts of time, to just try to get through the series fairly quickly. This is definitely a niche series also, where there are just people that are going to see the anime in the walls and on the shelves and be immediately turned off, or see the amount of blood and the cussing, which there was a decent amount of cussing right at the beginning of the game, and then they scaled it back quite a bit after that point. So yeah, undoubtedly this is not a game for everybody. But yeah, I'm running out of things to say here, and we'll just have to start up back at this point next episode. That's going to be it for this episode. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.